Alright, welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at the return of Battleforce boxes with a twist. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Start your new year, new army project with 4 more Space Marine Battleforces. So obviously there was some issues with the Imperial Knights Battleforce, and many people were hoping that it would return. I'm not sure if that is going to be the case. But regardless of whether or not it does, we have 4 new Battleforce boxes. Instead, a new year of Warhammer means Armies on Parade is on its way, and we're kicking things off the new year, new army. And as luck would have it, many awesome Battleforces have been released over the Christmas holiday, an excellent starting point on your next Warhammer project. But while the Imperial Fist and Raven Guard got their due, several other first founding chapters were nowhere to be seen. That changes now. 4 brand new boxes stuffed with Space Marines are coming to a Warhammer store near you soon, featuring the Iron Hands, Salamanders, White Scars, and Ultramarines. Let's have a look at what's inside. So before we do have a look at what's inside, I think it's important to keep in mind that we have some big changes coming to the game. Obviously, Space Marines are at the heart of Games Workshop and the IP. They are not very good in the meta right now. You could argue that they are pretty terrible. The fact that they have the most data sheets of any other codex or any army, they have the most various chapters or different ways that you can play the game with them, and they're still not actually good. And when I say they're not good, I don't mean that you can't win a game with them against your buddies, but competitively we don't see them winning events, and when we do, it's one very small portion of the army. Either something like Blood Angels with a ton of Sanguinary Guard and Death Company and some certain characters, or Ultramarines led by Guilliman, obviously not recently, but in previous iterations. But with the new changes coming up, with the upcoming rule changes, the new way to play the game in Arcs of Omen, and then also our points changes coming up as well, who knows what condition the Space Marines will be after that. There's been some rumors about the actual rules changes, about things like stacking doctrines or various other things. So we'll see. I don't think we should completely write them off for 2023 just because they've had a couple of rough years. There's also some talks that we may see codex supplements for some of the various other chapters as well. So if we did see points changes, if we did see some game changes rules-wise for the broad game, new secondary objectives like they've talked about, and then also on top of that, potentially new supplemental codexes for some of these chapters, or at least some armies of renown, something along those lines. It's not crazy to think that Space Marines could actually be good in 2023 or going forward. So that being said, let's take a look at these boxes with an open mind, and then we'll do a full box breakdown like we did for all of the army boxes, where to start, where to expand, and what some other key units would be. Obviously, any of that is subject to change as the secondary objectives are released or the points changes. That may move some things a little bit more in one direction or the other, but overall should give us a broad idea as to what to expect and what we can realistically set our expectations for. So first off, we have the Iron Hands, March of Iron Strike Force. So very cool art on the cover of all of these boxes, obviously, specifically the Space Marine ones. Dreadnoughts are some of the most powerful weapons in the Space Marine arsenal, and the March of Iron Strike Force is all about getting them into the thick of the fight. 2 hulking Redemptor Dreadnoughts are backed by the engineering prowess of a Primaris Tech Marine and Iron Father Ferrous himself, while 10 Intercessors follow in the wake to secure the ground. You have a Primaris Tech Marine and Iron Father Ferrous. Both characters can make battlefield repairs on the Dreadnoughts, with Ferrous restoring 3 wounds every turn, so it'll take some serious firepower to bring them down. Just add a few gladiator tanks and you'll prove the flesh is weak and the machine is strong. So right off the bat, I have to say, you have 2 Tech Marines in an army. The moment one of the vehicles is blown up, the other Tech Marine is basically useless. I'm also not sure that Iron Hand players are taking multiple Tech Marines in their 2,000 point army, let alone in this starter army. So that does seem a little strange to me. I don't think it's necessarily bad that it comes with 10 Intercessors. I do like that it's the full kit Intercessors, and you can give them the various different bolt rifles, whatever works best for you, to fill a battlefield role. I do like Redemptor Dreadnoughts, and they are good, But if they're saying right off the bat, hey, throw some gladiator tanks in here, why not give you one dreadnought and one gladiator tank? I think one of my biggest problems with these boxes is when they put multiple of the same unit in the box, because it really limits your choices. And honestly, Redemptor Dreadnoughts are definitely good, and there's definitely, like, you know, early in the edition, there was some cool kind of Dreadnought Death Star builds with Iron Father Pharaohs and a couple of like relics, the Iron Stone and stuff like that. But most of that has been nerfed, and honestly, I'm just not sure that's the best build going forward. Could have put a Leviathan Dreadnought in here, could have put one of the tanks in here, etc. Overall, decent box set. Not particularly impressed with the double Redemptor Dreadnoughts. Alright, so on to the Salamanders. So we have the Warforged Strike Force. Again, very cool art on the cover right here. Plunge into the fires of battle with Adrax, Agatone, and a solid wall of 20 resilient intercessors. Then hammer the anvil of war with a Gravis armored might of 3 Eradicators and 3 Aggressors. The Warforged Strike Force is as Salamanders as they come, and provides you with all the sturdy core infantry you need to make good use of the chapter's new secondary objective. Salamanders look striking on the battlefield and are an excellent opportunity to practice your flame details, which are sure to stand out next to armies on parade award show. Blade Guard, Veteran Bodyguard for Adrax, and an Impulsor to ride in won't go amiss, either if you're looking to expand your force. Alright, so they're obviously trying to mention, hey, what you should put next to build your army, which is cool. I like the idea of that. Obviously, that's something that I have been doing for these box sets and has been well received, as well as doing the price value breakdowns, which once again, you will see for these box sets as well in follow-up video. That being said, when I look at this setup right here, and we have right out of the gate 20 intercessors, that to me is a mistake. I'm not saying that 20 intercessors aren't good. I'm not saying that 20 intercessors won't be good in the future. But what I am saying is I cannot remember the last time I ever saw someone bring an army with 20 intercessors. So it seems a little bit strange. Could they have done 10 assault intercessors and 10 regular intercessors, or some other kind of mix? I think probably would have made this setup a little better. I don't hate that it's troop heavy. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, putting Agrax in there is definitely a good thing. He is a beast. Aggressors and Eradicators go well in the army as well. Gives you a bunch of extra shooting that you can build multiple ways, and then a bunch of heavy shooting on the Eradicators. Also gives you a decent combat threat between all of the random Thunderhammers. You've got a bunch of little potential for like flame pistols. A lot of cool stuff in here. Overall, I think that this is a pretty decent setup for Salamanders and fits fairly well. Assuming you get some upgrade sprues in here and everything. It's a pretty cool setup. But again, I just don't think that you ever want 20 of the same thing in any of these boxes. So we shall see in time. We'll talk a little bit more about the value in the breakdown and how this would expand. Refresh a little bit on the rules and everything in a separate video. But again, I just don't think putting 20 of anything is necessarily a good idea. I mean, the stuff that you see people taking 20 of is stuff like Sanguinary Guard and other things that are really, really good. You're not seeing typical people loading up with max squad size troop choices. You don't even see people taking 3 squads of 5 intercessors, let alone just doubling down on 20. So I'm really not sure, and I would be very careful. I'm just speculating right now without seeing the other boxes. But I'm not sure that these box sets are designed specifically to make a good army, or to create an army that's going to be fun to play or competitive, as much as they are more to just pack a bunch of stuff in a box and sell it. But again, we've only seen the first 2. Maybe I'll be wrong for the next 2. And now a quick message from this week's sponsor. This video is sponsored by CMOgames.com, where you can get 15% off most Games Workshop pre-orders, and they go live right at midnight Saturday mornings. CMOgames.com offers free shipping on orders over $25 in the US 48, and most orders ship within 24 hours. CMOgames.com has been selling Games Workshop products online for more than 20 years, and customer service is their top priority. CMOgames.com carries the full line of Games Workshop products, including 40k, Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, warcry, paints, hobbies, and tools. Visit CMOgames.com using the affiliate link in the description below so they know you heard about CMOgames.com from Warhammer Man Studios. Now, back to the video. Alright, so we have the White Scars Storm of Kogoris. If your ideal defense is a blistering fast offense, the Storm of Kogris in the Battleforce for you. Built around a dependable core of 6 Primaris Outriders and 2 Invader ATVs led by Primaris Chaplain on bike, this express delivery of pain discards weak and feeble legs for the mechanical purity of the wheel. Except Koroso Khan, who's taken a break from the saddle to get a keener eye over the battlefield. With the bulk of your fast movers seen to, a few squads of assault intercessors and a couple of Stormhawk interceptors are all you need to round out a characterful White Scars army. So I like how they worded that, a characterful White Scars army. Because if you start with this force right here, it's going to be really bad. And that's all it will ever be, is characterful. Again, we know there's some big changes coming. So I don't want to be like overly critical of the composition of these boxes right off the bat. Khan is pretty cool. Primaris Chaplain on bike is very good. Invader ATVs are okay. But these bikes are probably some of the worst units in the entire game. They are absolutely terrible. They cost way too many points and they basically achieve nothing. They're fast and they're cool and they should definitely be in White Scars armies. But they should be good. So you're basically starting off right off the bat, a chaplain on bike, and then everything else is just kind of meh. And this box just feels super light on stuff that's useful. It's nice that you gain the extra damage in combat on the later turns. You have some other cool like White Scars abilities. But one, if you have your Khan on foot, he's going to be super slow and way late to the party and probably get isolated and killed. So he needs to be on a bike, or you need to have some other units that are not on bikes. And then on top of that, there's no actual like punching power in this. You basically have like the potential to put 2 multi-meltas on your Invader ATVs, and then everything you're going to do damage with is in combat. Unfortunately, your bikers can't take any weapon upgrades for combat. The Invader ATVs have 0 combat ability. So you basically have to rely on Khan on foot and the Chaplain on bike to essentially kill everything. Yeah, this is really bad, guys. This is really, really bad. Again, we see 2 Invader ATVs in this box set, and we see 2 sets of the bikes in this box set, when easily they could have put something else in this box set that would have went much better. Like, for instance, some Eradicators, or potentially even some Aggressors or something like that, where you could use some kind of like outflank ability or something like that to get them where they need to be, and then potentially have some punch either in shooting or shooting and combat in the Aggressor's case. Overall, it's cool, it's thematic, there's a bunch of bikes in it, but again, very, very poor composition with current state of the game and units in mind. But the truth is, the main issue we see with all these box sets so far is the fact that they all have just a bunch of duplicates in them, which again is just not necessarily a great idea. With the most data sheets in the entire game, in the Space Marine books, I don't think that you really need to take like a bunch of redundancy to have a good army, especially redundancy of a bunch of mediocre units. So last but not least, hopefully this will be the saving grace. We have the Space Marines Scions of Macragge. It wouldn't be a Space Marine party without the Ultramarines, and the final Battleforce shows them at their versatile best. You get objective control from 10 Intercessors, supreme firepower from 11 Hellblasters, melee mastery from 3 Blade Guard veterans, tactical genius from Marnius Calgar, and psychic dominance from Cheap Librarian Tigris. 2 members of the Victorous Guard have even joined their chapter master for the ride. With every base covered, you can take the starting force into any direction you desire. Double down on the Plasma Barrage with some Primaris and Scepters, then bring the might of Rabute Guliman, the Avenging Sun, onto the battlefield. So this is, right off the bat, jumps out at me as very, very strange. There's only currently 3 Primarchs in Warhammer 40,000. Magnus, Mortarion, and Guliman. And we obviously know Angron is on the horizon as well. But in the Chaos Thousand Suns box set, you got Magnus. And in the Death Guard box set, you got Mortarion. So why on earth would they not put Rabute Guliman in the Ultramarines box set? And I get they're going with like the chapter master type thing for most of the Space Marine chapters, but I definitely think Guliman should have been included in this box set. And Guliman's not like some super expensive model. He's not $100 where he would take up the whole box set like Mortarion or Magnus. you know, he is like a $60 model or something like that. So they could have easily put him in here, and definitely should have. Now, did they have to put him instead of Marneus Calgar and the Victorous Guard, or could it be addition or some other change? Yeah, I think they could have worked something out right there. I think that this army should have 100% included Tigurius, who is a great psyker and awesome model, and Guilliman as well. So I think it's a mistake not having Guilliman in this box set. Now, that being said, as far as the actual composition otherwise, I don't think 10 intercessors is too crazy. Obviously, they were going with 10-man squads of like the troops. I personally would probably be rocking out 5 intercessors and 5 incursors or infiltrators, probably 5 of each. I think overall it's a decent box set. The 10 Hellblasters actually go fairly well for Ultramarines. The Blade Guard veterans aren't bad. Tigurius is going to give some nice psychic powers as well. But there's nothing really in here to do any actual punching. There's no real like linchpin to the strike force or anything like that. Yeah, I gotta just say, honestly, Marneus Calgar's okay. He can definitely hit hard. The Victor Scarred are cool. They're all cool models. But I would much rather see Guilliman in this box set. It would be much better composition, in my opinion. And the truth is, even starting with this army right here, there's a lot of directions you could take it in, but I'm not sure any of them is going to be particularly amazing. You don't just get a selection of units in these battle forces either. Each one comes with a set of detailed upgrade sprues and transfer sheets, so you can make your new Space Marines look like they've walked right out of your chosen chapter's forge. Flaming braziers, curved chainswords, and bionic enhancements are all here for the enterprising Warhammer hobbyists. So yeah, I mean, it's going to come with the upgrade frames, and they're showing off a couple of like the actual like bits from those upgrade frames, which is cool. You'll be able to get your hands on these bumper boxes very soon. With more information on the first leg of Armies on Parade 2023 following close behind, stay tuned to a Warhammer community and be amongst the first to find out by signing up for the newsletter. Alright, so that is our initial impressions of these box sets here. So it is cool that there's some more box sets coming. Is it necessary? Are these going to be popular? Are they even going to sell? Not so sure. Composition-wise, we know there's going to be some nice savings on these box sets, like 35%, somewhere between like 30 to 40% roughly. So they will be some nice value, especially if you're already after a bunch of these units in here. We also don't know how much the rules are going to change and make some of these units viable choices. We don't even need big rules changes in many cases. We really just need some points drops, and then we could actually see some of these units be useful or competitive, or potentially just minor changes like, hey, all of a sudden your bikers can take a special weapon, or the sergeant could be equipped with a thunderhammer or something like that. Not sure that that's going to be a change that's coming, especially because they don't include anything like that in the kit, and that seems to be the direction Games Workshop is going. So overall, I have to say, these boxes don't jump out at me as being amazing. Now, with those points changes and with the potential rule changes, that could change in the near future. But we do see a common theme in every single one of these boxes. We see basically overloading on the same units. We see 2 dreadnoughts in this set, and then we see 2 5-mans of intercessors, or a 10-man, however you want to look at it. We see here just way too many intercessors, 20 total intercessors in this box set, which is just way too many. And then here we see 2 units of bikers and 2 of the ATVs. Again, they could be taken in one squad, so you could just argue that it's just a more full squad. But again, just too much mediocre redundancy. And then finally here, you know, a 10-man and another 10-man. And then the lack of Rebute Guilliman. Just honestly a mistake. I'm not sure exactly what they were going for with these box sets, or even why they're coming out. Hopefully it's to lead out some kind of new supplements, new rules, or potential useful competitiveness of Space Marines. So we'll do the breakdown for points like we did for the other Christmas box sets. We'll do the breakdown in value as well. But so far, initial impressions, I'm really just not that impressed by these box sets. So let me know what you guys think down below. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.